week, more than 300 million people across the globe sit glued to their TV sets watching a trio of slightly mad Englishmen debating their love of all things motoring.
Thanks awfully.
Top Gear has become a worldwide phenomenon, and the front man for this trio of rev heads is Jeremy Clarkson, a journalist, writer and broadcaster whose motoring knowledge is only superseded by his sharp wit. Whether it's crashing through walls, racing across the wilderness, or humiliating his co-hosts.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder offering their opinion.
Jeremy Clarkson remains one of the most recognised television stars in the world, and I was lucky enough to catch up with him in London. Jeremy, thanks for joining us, mate.
It's a pleasure. Welcome to England.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just passed a polar bear and a couple of igloos on the way.
It's not warm, is it?
No, it's not.
It's really
not when it was 38 degrees when I was in Adelaide.
Yeah, no, but that's, yeah, and I suppose the prawns were better as well, weren't they?
Yes.
Great steaks, lovely prawns, and much better climate.
Yes.
Yeah, we have fish fingers and drizzle, but we did have the biggest empire the world's ever seen as a result. There's got to be something better than this somewhere else. Let's go.
Right. Did you ever think, though, that a show with you and your two mates, or the three nutters, doing a car show would be the biggest rating show ever in the world?
Well, you know, of course, you looked at the old classic Top Gear, which had run for 2 centuries, and think, well, then we might be as popular as that, might, one day. Yeah. And then now, look, it's extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. And people then say, why? Yeah. And nobody on the programme has the slightest idea. Absolutely.
There must be a secret, though. Like, what's the secret to the show?
I have no idea. You just put 3 middle-aged men in a situation and tell them there is no health and safety. You're going to get hurt, you're going to bleed, and people tune in. Yeah. So, it's a great fun thing to do.
Yeah, it's fun.
Honestly, I was loading a pretend dead 22 stones, whatever that is in kilo, huge dead Macedonian into the boot of a Rolls Royce in Albania the other day, and just got the giggles. Thought, I'm 50 years old and I'm earning a living now, seeing how big the boot is of this car by trying to get a dead Macedonian into it. Mad world. Great fun, though.
Do you enjoy being the lead singer of the band, though?
No, I'm not. I wouldn't really. Well, I probably am actually the lead singer.
Yeah.
And then you'd have Hammond, who's the... Or no, actually, I'm the drummer. Make a lot of noise and die early. That's what all drummers do. Well, so look at me! They're like houseflies. They come, they make a lot of noise, then they die. All drummers do that. Keith Moon and so on. And then James is the rather studious keyboard player, Rabbit, who you never really saw. He was in The Who, but you never saw him. Yeah, he is. And then Hammond is just the irritator. He's probably the lead singer, actually. In fact, talking to you is a bit like talking to the teeth. You've got the same colour teeth as Richard Hammond.
Really?
Ice white.
White?
Ice
I
white.
Get them white. Do you think? Could you tell?
Do you know you can? I do as well.
Smile, Craig.
But I buy a slightly off-white tooth whitener. It's a sort of yellow. That's really what I go for.
Did you and Richard and James, did you all guys know each other before Top Gear?
No, actually. How
did it all come about?
I knew James of old, and then we did a screen test when we were going to do it, and Richard cropped up, and he is extremely funny, spontaneously very funny. Take the cameras away, and he's really sharp and quick, very funny. So we knew immediately, and he's got great teeth and puts product in his hair. He would be perfect. And then we had another guy, he didn't work out terribly well, and I'd been nagging all the way along, actually, this friend who I was producing the show with, let's get James May in. You know, he's drinking meths, he's in the gutter, he's pretty much down and out, he'll be cheap. And so I went and found him and said, do you fancy the gig? And Top Gear was pretty small then, very small. Yeah. And was doing OK, but nothing special. So James joined, and occasionally points out that after he joined, it really ramped up. Truth be told, it was Hammond's accident that caused the ratings to shoot up. As people suddenly thought, wait a minute, these guys aren't faking.
Yeah, they're pushing it.
They're in those cars and they're doing dangerous things. I think once people establish that we are not really interested in safety, really not interested in it, you know, they come with their forms. We just aren't interested. And I think that, again, is part of it. What about
OK, so the pack, though, of your show as well, that if one of you sort of had a mishap or...
I don't think there's an if. It's when one of us really croaks. I mean, no more. When the luck runs out and you do actually get wasted, you're dead. Obviously, that will have to be announced on the following week's show. You can't just have an empty chair where Hammond used to sit on Male Me. So we have a pact, we've all shaken hands on it, that we'll announce, one of us will announce, I'll say, really sorry to announce, in the filming of that item, Richard Hammond was killed. And we've got the agreement, the next word out of that person's mouth is anyway. So it's Richard Hammond was killed. Anyway, the new Holden. Yeah, so because it's just he was killed, and that's sad, but it's not really the end of the world. Now let's move on to the new Holden, which is quite interesting. So it's a way of making sure the show can continue even when we're all dead. And actually, we all get killed. That's quite tricky, obviously, because it'll be quite quiet.
So the love of cars, where did that start? At a young age, or...?
Yeah, I think I was told I could say Maserati before I could say mummy. So... But then, you lose interest in cars when you get to 14, 15, which I did. And then it wasn't until I started as a journalist and realised I was actually useless as a journalist, but that I could write about cars because nobody else seemed to be doing it.
Yep.
So I was doing that.
What about sport? Did that have any impact as you as a kid, or was
Absolutely.
it just cars?
No, absolutely. I was very, very interested in not taking part in any sporting activity.
Nothing tickled your fancy at all?
Well, I know cricket, obviously, is a subject very close to your heart. Mm-hmm. But if you suffer from hay fever, as I do, there is no sport on earth quite as terrifying, because you are made to go out and stand in front of 3 sticks, and your eyes are streaming. You can see virtually nothing. And then a tall boy will come along with you know how hard that ball is, and throw it at you.
And it hurts too.
You can't see it coming because you... and just as the sneeze comes, you're thwacked in the side of the head. And it was considered homosexual to wear any form of protective clothing. You actually had to play with your genitals out while this massive boy threw a hugely hard ball at you. You couldn't see it coming. Listen to me, he's trying to knock the sticks over. He isn't. He's just throwing it at me. So then you're out. And then, knocked out or out. And then you'd have to go and sit on the sidelines where the long grass was, making your hay fever even worse. And this is the really bad bit, is when somebody's made the ball go really high up in the air and it's coming towards you, now there's 22 people looking at you, and this ball is coming down. And just waiting for the snake, and it lands right on the end of your finger. Always dead. So your fingers get shoved deep into your hands until they're just little stumps. And as a result of that, I didn't like cricket very much.
Really?
Hay fever, who knows, I could have been as good as you, but hay fever...
Yeah, a killer.
You can't are there any cricketers that suffer?
There's a few.
They can manage.
Few, but it's probably not that bad.
Because then they say, no, here, take this antihistamine.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So then you walk out to the crease and... absolutely fast asleep. So either way, I wasn't really very good at it.
OK, so growing up, you didn't want to say, right, I want to play Test cricket for England.
No, I was at an English public school. And at an English public school, it's extremely important that you get up in the morning and are thrown usually into an ice-cold swimming pool and then bullied mercilessly and then made to do some form of incredibly violent sport. And I didn't like any of that, so I took detention instead. Because detention's indoor, no hay fever, and nobody's throwing anything at you. So I preferred that. And that was really where I spent 5 years, was in detention until they expelled me. And I'm also really uncoordinated.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly so. Disappointingly so.
Well, you'd make a good AFL footballer in Australia. Nice height, move well.
Yeah, but I don't think I'd suit a cap-sleeve T-shirt. I'm not sure.
And the little shorts, not those either?
The stubbies. I just think people go, he hasn't actually got a penis, look. Look at him run, he's a girl. He's like a Barbie doll.
All right, I've got 6 spinning questions to you. You've got to answer them the best you can and just rapid fire. So I'm going to ask them and you just tell me the first thing that comes into your head.
Oh, no, it's a word association. And then what do you say? You are gay. It is. It's one of those things. Man, bottom.
Right, ready? If you could be anyone... if you could be anyone else for a day, dead or alive, who would it be?
Uma Thurman's boyfriend.
Good, yes. Boxers, briefs or commando?
Do you know that neither?
Boxers, briefs. So you don't wear boxers,
I thought that was maybe an Australian thing. I know you like to wear the tight short.
Yeah.
But they're neither. They're sort of boxery briefs.
Okay. What car would you never own?
Any Toyota hatchback. No, anything made in Korea.
Okay. Richard Hammond.
Microscopic.
James May.
Dreary.
Australia is great because...
Great stakes, lovely climate.
Jeremy Clarkson, thank you very much for being on the show.
Pleasure. My absolute
Thanks, mate.
pleasure. Thanks.
Cheers.
Great to meet you.